Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome back to JT Channel. Welcome to my fourth review video of the weekend. And we are here to talk about, almost an AEW. See? Too many wrestling shows. WWE Evolution, which took place last night. A little 7-match card. It was a great show. I'll tell you right now, personally, I think it was better than the first one. Of course, the women's division, pro wrestling in general, is in a better place than it was in 2018. So, I'm going to just jump right into it because I don't feel a reason to sit here and babble about anything. But the first matchup was Becky, Bayley, Lyra, the Intercontinental Championship. Real quickly, because I know who Becky is married to. I hope Seth is doing okay. Rumors are circulating like crazy that he was on crutches, and Triple H said he's gonna have an MRI today. So, best wishes to Seth Rollins. But let's move from Seth to Evolution to this triple threat match. It was as good as it needed to be. I don't know what else to tell you. It was awesome. The three-way stuff was fantastic. There was never a whole lot of double teaming, which I thought was a nice touch. There was one double team spot, which was really interesting, which was, I think, Becky and Bayley working together, which, of course, everyone went nuts. You know, the Four Horsewomen, and they're supposed to be, like, bitter enemies. I'm trying to think if there's any, like, major spots that I need to talk about. There was all the 1-2 oohs, the big kickouts, there was Bayley to bellies and manhandle slams, and what is Lyra's finisher called? That Nightwing. It was all great. I don't know what else to tell you. I really don't. But I will say that that the end of the match was really, really, really good. Bayley, I think, had Lyra rolled up after God, I can't remember what the move was. Remember, this isn't a beat-by-beat review, so if I don't remember the moves or tell you all the moves, that's not what I want to do anyway. But Bayley had Lyra rolled up, and Becky ran and, like, back-rolled over Bayley and grabbed her, spun her around into a backslide. 1, 2, 3. It looked fantastic. Becky Lynch, not Becky Hogan. I'm going to flip that guy off. I'm pretty sure he had that sign as a joke, but seriously, if you're using Hogan as the last name for Becky Lynch or Mercedes Moné or Rhea Ripley, you have never watched wrestling in your life. Never. You don't know anything about Hulk Hogan if you think Becky Lynch is anything like him. But anyway, she retains the title. Again, a really good opener. The crowd was hot from the start. They just absolutely screamed their heads off for the whole match and the whole night. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to shout out the Atlanta crowd. You got to realize that they had 3 shows this weekend, and I'm assuming the majority of the people that went to one of them went to all 3 of them. So for them to go from show to show to show and just keep going, and they were definitely the loudest during this one. Yes, I see you, child. But yeah, great matchup. Becky Lynch retains the Intercontinental Championship. I had kind of wanted Lyra to win the title and then go from there, but I'm curious to see what happens next. I don't know where Becky's going to go next. Do we keep this feud going? Does she do the one-on-one with Bayley at SummerSlam? I guess we'll see. But Becky Lynch retains, so congratulations to her. Again, a really, really hot opener. Next up was the NXT Women's Championship match. Jacy Jayne defended against, not Blake Monroe, against Jordynne Grace. This is another one where I don't really know what to tell you. It was really good. I told you the entire weekend. Well, not the entire weekend, but when I was... Sorry about that. I'm doing another video in the morning, so my thoughts are... At least I changed my shirt, see? But I said it during the NXT review and before the NXT and my picks and predictions that everyone should watch more NXT, and the women's division is amazing. This proved it. JC and Jordynne, they got plenty of time. It was a really good match. Again, lots of near falls, lots of real close calls. Blake Monroe took out Fatal Influence and made sure that they couldn't get involved, but got to talk about the finish of the match. She had the NXT Women's Championship in her hand. Jacy Jayne threw Jordynne Grace off the ropes. Blake Monroe hit Jordynne Grace in the back, and Jacy Jayne hit her finisher, which is a rolling forearm, I think. Looks really good. 1, 2, 3 retains the NXT Women's Championship. Blake Monroe, who I have in the background here, turns heel. In this shot, she just hands J.C. Jane the title, walks the rope, does her little pose, and then leaves. So, I don't know. I had mixed feelings on this. I was fine with J.C. Jane retaining. I think J.C. Jane is incredibly underrated, as is the majority of the NXT Women's Division. Like, just go watch it, for God's sake. I didn't mind the Blake Monroe turn, but I kind of thought we could have held off a little longer on it. But I guess when she was Mariah May, she was better off as the, like, conniving heel. So I guess she could only have been babyface for so long. I don't know. I'm not saying it took away from the match. It didn't make me go, oh, it didn't shock me. I was just kind of like, oh, wait, really? We're doing it now? But it was fine. I mean, it's just kind of like the all-in stuff. If you're going to do big women's angles, you might as well do it at the all-women's pay-per-view. So Blake Monroe turns on Jordan Grace. J.C. Jane retains her NXT Championship, which means now, and I'm totally sorry, I forgot to mention this during the predictions, she gets to face Masha Slamovich at Slammiversary. Isn't that fun to say? And a title-for-title match, which has me super intrigued. Because you already gave Trick Williams the TNA Championship, so do you give J.C. Jane the TNA Knockouts title? Or does Masha Slamovich take the NXT title so that it's like a bit of a trade-off? I don't know. I don't do a whole lot of TNA, unfortunately. But J.C. Jane retains the NXT Women's Championship. Okay, I'm going to get this right. Up next was the Women's Tag Team title Fatal 4-Way. The Judgment Day defending against the Kabuki Warriors, Zarya and Sol Ruka, and Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. This was awesome. I don't even know any other word to describe it. It was, I said this during the All-In review, it seems like tag team matches are kind of more my thing than I realized. This one definitely was just great. Tons of brawls, back and forth, reversals, dives, of course. There was a really good spot where Raquel powerbombed Alexa Bliss out of the ring into the Kabuki Warriors, and somebody else was outside the ring. I think Zarya, maybe? Zarya was spearing people. She accidentally speared Sol Ruka at one point, which was a great spot because she was going to spear Alexa Bliss after a double team. Like Sol Ruka did this like backstabber with her feet, not her knees, and it popped Alexa up. Zarya went for the spear and Charlotte pulled Alexa out of the way. So if you've been following that storyline, and then it zoomed in on them, and Charlotte was like, oh my God, you saved me. And Charlotte was like, yeah, I got you. So I think the Allies of Convenience thing is funny. Their entrance, again, I don't talk about these things very often, but their entrance was hilarious. Charlotte came out in one of those massive Ric Flair robes, right? With the arms that hang super low. Then Alexa came out. Alexa comes out. You could tell they're friends in real life and in story. So Alexa comes out. Alexa's like 5'1". She's super short, is my point. Charlotte, clearly this was done on purpose. She made this robe for this reason. Holds out her arm, and the robe part of the arm part of her robe drapes so far down that you cannot see Alexa Bliss. She blocks Alexa Bliss from existing, drops her arm down and giggles. Alexa throws Lily at Charlotte, who catches her, and then they like playfully shove each other. I know it's silly that I enjoyed that as much as I did, but I'm a silly guy. But it was just, not only was it funny to watch, like I was laughing so hard. But it was also, it continues the story. Like, they don't want to be a team, but they are a team, and now they're starting to have each other's backs, and now they're clearly actually friends. In the end, though, and speaking of things I want to talk about, Soul Snatcher. Sol Ruka hit the Soul Snatcher on Charlotte Flair, which I thought was just a stroke of brilliance. You had this up-and-comer, she's not new by any stretch of the imagination, but someone from NXT that WWE is very high on, that I've said in multiple videos now, she will, when she loses that Women's North American title, she'll probably come to the main roster. She'll be a top star in no time. When she hit the Soul Snatcher on Charlotte, this crowd went absolutely nuts. And hitting it on Charlotte Flair out of everyone else in that match, that just tells you everything you need to know. But poor Sol Ruka is the one who ate the finish. She took a massive Tejana bomb from Raquel Rodriguez, picks up the win. So Judgment Day retains. Again, I could talk about this match all day long, probably. I won't use my cows come home idiom just yet. This is one of the matches I really want to go back and rewatch just so I can see what I missed. What didn't I miss? Did I see something incorrectly? That kind of stuff. It's always, there are cats fighting at the foot of my little ring light phone holder. But it's one of those matches that when you go back and watch, you're going to see new stuff every time. And yeah, so the Judgment Day retains. Definitely curious where we go from here. I would like it to be against Charlotte and Alexa because I think them being the next women's tag team champions makes a lot of sense. But until then, the Judgment Day are your women's tag team champions. Women's championship time. Tiffany Stratton defending against Trish Stratus. This was even better than I had anticipated. I said it a couple of times in the past that these two have a lot of similarities in their style, and Trish Stratus is one of those wrestlers who we watched in the 2000s. Everyone says she was an Attitude Era wrestler. I think she was around in the late 90s, but she didn't really, I don't think her best work was until the 2000s, which I guess a little bit of Attitude Era, a little bit of Ruthless Aggression. Anyway, the point is, she's a nostalgia wrestler. She's from our childhoods, whatever. She has this new merch that says, Your First Crush, which, I mean, very, very few people are going to argue with her on that one. It's probably a really intelligent merch idea. But anyway, this was fantastic. I mean, it really was. They did mirror each other a lot in a lot of the moves. I'm talking about things I never talk about. Because now I'm going to talk about gear. This is a crazy video. But on the middle of Trish's gear was her name and her logo. But it was in the shape, it was a belt buckle in the shape of the old WWF women's title that she held a bunch of times. I thought that was an awesome little touch that, if you noticed, you noticed, and if you didn't, and even if you did notice, maybe you didn't know what it was. I noticed, I thought it was awesome. These two just had a great match. Just an absolutely fantastic match. One thing that made me laugh is when Trish hit the chick kick, like her finishing move from the 2000s. One of the commentators, I think it was Michael Cole, who, you want to talk about someone who never makes a mistake, rarely makes a mistake, went, oh, there's a massive kick to the head, and Wade Barrett was like, yeah, that was the chick kick, Michael. Like, he immediately jumped on him. It was just really funny. Much better commentary than Booker T. Anyway, different. You guys have heard that argument by now if you've watched my NXT review, but this was just great. Of course, Tiffany won. I don't know what, I'm not going to sit here and try to build it up. PME, which is also Jacob Fatu's finisher, which is great. 1, 2, 3, they shook hands or whatever. Maybe they didn't shake hands. Maybe Tiffany just left so Trish could have her moment. And Michael Cole said it best, you never know if we're ever going to see Trish again. She'll probably take some time off and then she'll be back, or maybe she'll even have a match at SummerSlam. I'd be totally fine if Trish had another match in WWE. This wasn't her retirement or anything. She'll have a retirement match one day, and we'll all cry until our houses are full of water, because she'll always be one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time. She was part of that crop with Lita and Jazz and Jacqueline. All these wrestlers were in the crowd at Evolution. Michelle McCool, who were around in the 2000s that didn't fit the mold that Vince McMahon wanted. Like, yes, they were attractive. I'm not going to sit here and lie, but Vince McMahon wanted models that couldn't perform a wrist lock properly. But Trish was in that group that could wrestle circles, squares, triangles, and rectangles around these other women. So she'll still be around. I hope we see her at SummerSlam, but right now, Tiffany Stratton is still your women's champion. And yes, it is indeed still Tiffy time. All right, no holds barred time. Jade Cargill against I almost said Tiffany Stratton. Jade Cargill against Naomi. I got it right. With Bianca Belair as special guest referee. Again, this was awesome. I think they started brawling while Jade was on her way to the ring. Kendo sticks, steel chairs. I think they fought in the crowd for a little bit. Barricade, announce table, tables. I mean, this was two women just punching each other in the face as much as they could and as much as they wanted to. It wasn't super long, I don't think. If I remember right, it was, long enough for sure. Was the steel steps used? I think so. Bianca did not get involved at all. I will say that when I did my Saturday night's main event review, I said that I wouldn't be surprised if there's some shenanigans in this match. There wasn't. Bianca stayed out of the way. She did exactly what special guest referees are supposed to do. You almost forgot she was there. Like, she got a massive reaction, And you could see, you know, she was selling emotion here because this was two of her former friends that she doesn't know if she can trust either one of them. I think you can trust Jade a little more. She didn't throw the other one through a car window. But this was perfect. It went exactly how it should. Naomi was fairly dominant for a little while. Then Jade just took over because she's Jade. She won with a Jaded off of the second rope through a table, which looked really good. I really like the added little nugget that even my wife noticed, where they set it up and you can see Naomi going, okay, I'm ready. I love little things like that. I know there's a group of people out there, and I know some of them actually. I've trained with some of them that are like, oh, shouldn't kill kayfabe, but kayfabe's been dead for like 30 years. So I think it's fun when you see a wrestler going, yep, let's do it. And you gotta communicate those things, because you're basically taking a face-first pratfall with someone behind you through a table from a second rope. So it wasn't easy, I'm sure, but Jade Cargill defeats Naomi, and it was great. Like I said, it really was. You can tell that, like I said, the emotion on Bianca's face in this picture I chose in the background, that she's still torn. We're going to get to this match eventually with Bianca and Jade, and I would have said something about Bianca and Naomi, but we will talk about that in due course. Jade defeats Naomi in the no-holds-barred match. And, again, no nonsense from Bianca Belair. Next up is... I want to say that when this match ended, it was my favorite result of the night, but it's worth a conversation after the main event. But probably my favorite prediction that I got correct, my favorite pick that I got correct. I don't think I predicted anybody to win this, but definitely my favorite pick of the night that I got right. Stephanie Vaquer wins the Battle Royal. I'm not even going to sit here and try to beat around the bush and tell you who, this, that, there. Everybody you thought that was going to be in it was in it, like Nikki Bella and Chelsea Green and the Secret Harvest, and Julia was in it. Zelina Vega. Let me think here. Try and tell you guys as many as I can. There were a bunch of people from NXT. I think it was Lola Vice. Jakara. Was Jakara in it? I don't know. Lash Legend was in it. Kaylani Jordan. She had the Kofi Kingston spot of the Battle Royal. I hate calling it that, but it's true. It's the Kofi Kingston spot. Naomi used to do it too, but Kaylani Jordan got thrown out of the ring, but she ended up on the announce table, and she did it like a hand walk back to the ring. I know some people don't like that, but it's my favorite thing in the world. If your feet do not touch the floor, you're still in the match. And if only one foot touches, look, this foot's in the air, you're still in the match. But that was the cool spot of that. Something that got a incredible reaction that surprised me. It's not someone that got a incredible reaction that surprised me, was Nia Jax. Candice LeRae's music hit, and then Nia Jax's music hit, and she just got this huge reaction, and I was like, wait, what? And beyond that, throughout the match, people were beating up Nikki Bella and then doing Nikki Bella's little dance, and then someone would help Nikki Bella, and then Nikki and her would do her little dance. And when Nia Jax did it, she got a massive pop. I think you could turn Nia Jax's face, and I don't think anybody would blink. This is so random, and I'm so sorry I forgot to mention this, but during the women's tag team title match, Charlotte Flair got the biggest ovation, maybe of the night, or it's arguable, but she got a huge "We Want Charlotte" chant, and like when she got tagged in, the crowd thought they all had won $1 million. I'm only saying that because this crowd was just so good. Like I said, they were cheering Nia Jax too. I think they were just being appreciative of women's wrestling, which I really appreciate. But the last two were Stephanie Vaquer and Lash Legend. I can't remember who the final four were off the top of my head, but it was Lash Legend, it was Stephanie Vaquer. They both ended up going over the top rope onto the apron. Stephanie hit the Devil's Kiss and then just rolled Jakara. I don't know why I do that. Lash off of the apron. Lash hits the floor. Stephanie Vaquer wins. Means she gets to challenge a women's champion at Clash in Paris. Again, she's who I picked to win. She's one of my favorite female wrestlers in WWE right now. She's one of my favorite female wrestlers in the world right now. She's so great. Fans love her. She's super talented. I don't know what she's going to do at Clash in Paris. She could go after the NXT Women's title, but... and obviously Stephanie McMahon. She was one of the hosts of the night. Excuse me. I came out of nowhere. She came in and asked Stephanie a question in Spanish, which I thought was kind of cool because Stephanie, of course, Spanish is her native tongue. I did like what she said here. A lot of people were talking about it. She said, after she said a bunch of stuff in Spanish, she said, "You'll have to excuse me. English is not my first language, but pro wrestling is my favorite language." I thought that was a great line. Again, we'll see who she faces. I don't want to say too much because we still have main event to talk about. Stephanie Vaquer wins the Clash in Paris Battle Royal. Okay, I don't want to be as centered for this one because I definitely want to make sure we have this shot in the back perfectly, because it is time to talk about the main event, which was, I love having confusing backgrounds, because the main event was Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. So obviously I have a lot of explaining to do, and we'll get to that in just a second. But Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, this match, I was watching reactions to what happened after the match this morning, and I saw more than one person call it one of the best women's matches they've ever seen. I saw one person call it a generational matchup, that people are going to be talking about it forever, that is probably one of the matches of the year, and you're not going to hear any arguments from me. I told everybody before the match on all of my videos talking about it that Rhea and Io are two of my favorites. Io Sky, if I do that top 10, top 15, top whatever wrestlers in the world, for me personally, Io's in there. Io's top 5 for me. Io's just, she's amazing. You can put her in any match with anyone, and it's always good. She always knows what she's doing. This match was entirely centered around the fact that Rhea Ripley has never beaten Io Sky one-on-one. Or maybe ever, basically. They had like the graphics, the list. They showed some of the matches even, including what happened at WrestleMania, which to this day people are still saying was maybe the best opener ever. So that's, they did their job there, and that also had Rhea in it and Bianca, surprisingly. Not surprisingly, but I'm saying don't forget Bianca was in it. Every time Rhea started getting some good offense, Io always had an answer. Even if Rhea hit a big power move, like she would power bomb the shit out of Io Sky. I don't know. I don't like having to say it like that, but I don't know how else to say it. Rhea Ripley would pick Io Sky up and power bomb her to hell, basically. Io would come back and do the same thing, would power bomb Rhea, or I think there were slams on the floor and dives and just insanity. There was one point where Io Sky went for a springboard missile dropkick and Rhea moved, and she drop kicked the referee, Jessica Carr, who has been wrestling. If you don't know, I think she wears a mask and wrestles on that, what is it, Evolve, WWE's version of Evolve maybe, but so she can take, I'm not saying referees can't take moves. Charles Robinson took a spear, classic, but she took the drop kick, and I was like, well, when a referee gets taken out, that means something crazy happens. Well, in this case, crazy just meant they went and brawled in the crowd. They fought in the crowd for a while. Io jumped off like a 10, 15 foot high structure. It was a bunch of like equipment boxes and speakers that were stacked on top of each other. She did a huge crossbody off that. Looked really good. Again, Io can do anything. We get to the finish. This was so good. I almost jumped off the couch. My wife was sitting right next to me, so I can't say that I did jump off the couch. But I was damn close, because Rhea went for a top rope riptide, which she did to Raquel Rodriguez, and she's done a couple of times in her career. But instead, Io reversed it, and they did a top rope Spanish fly. Spanish flies are incredible moves. We see them I don't want to say all the time, but we see them fairly regularly these days. But I don't recall anyone doing a Spanish fly to Rhea Ripley, which made it that much more intense. I can't even, see, I'm stuttering here. It's just insane that we got Io Sky doing a Spanish fly to Rhea Ripley. They were both down. And after a few seconds went by, I said, "Oh no," out loud. I said, "Oh no, oh no," because I felt something wasn't right. Naomi's music hit. This crowd went nuts. I went nuts. I'm pretty sure the whole world that watches pro wrestling went nuts. Naomi runs to the ring. They ring the bell. I have to talk about it. She shows, what's her name? Alicia Taylor. The briefcase. And they ring the bell prematurely. Then Alicia Taylor finishes the announcements. Then they ring the bell again. It always happens with Money in the Bank cash-ins. Because the announcer has to explain everything. They're cashing in the Money in the Bank. This is now a triple threat match. It was really funny, but once the funny business was done, Naomi turns around. It's now a triple threat match, which means there are no rules. She whacks Io in the face with the briefcase, gets in the ring, throws Rhea into the ring post, climbs the ropes, split-legged moonsault. 1, 2, 3. We have a brand new women's world champion in Naomi. This was awesome. I've seen, I don't know, 20, 30 different people comparing it to Seth Rollins cashing in at WrestleMania. What was that, 11 years ago or something? Or 10 years ago now? Yeah, I think it was 10 years. It was 31. Sorry, I'm getting off track. But that's people are saying it's just like Seth Rollins. People are calling it the heist of the century again, because you had these two major stars of their division brawling it out, and then when they were both most vulnerable, the contract holder ran to the ring and stole the belt. I'm sorry, but they're right. I'm not sorry. No, I'm not. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I've cussed out a couple of people this morning because the overall reaction to this is just warm and fuzzy and happy and thank God and good for her. And yes, go Bryan Danielson up in here. I was, so happy. I picked Io Sky. I predicted Rhea Ripley. Everyone got it wrong. I don't think there is a single soul out there who predicted this. And if someone says they did, they're lying for clout. It's that simple. It's just that simple. But this was awesome. Naomi definitely deserves this. I know she's a former champion, yada, 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 but her heel turn, her gimmick change, this has been the best version of Naomi, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions. And like Michael Cole said, everyone assumed she was going to cash in on like the SmackDown champion, which that's something else about this that I really, really liked, is that people seem to forget that the Money in the Bank briefcase is for any championship. Austin Theory even tried to cash it in on the United States champion a few years ago. I know that was a mistake, but that's the point. Just because Naomi is from SmackDown doesn't mean she can't go for the Raw title. It's any title. So now Naomi is the Women's World Champion. That means all of my predictions about SummerSlam are completely out the fucking window. Yes, we're still going to get Tiffany and Jade, but now what do we do with the world title? Because I had all these ideas. Naomi's, going to go to Raw now. I assume we'll get a rematch with her and Io, maybe even with Rhea as well. Maybe we do a triple threat there. It's just, I could not be happier. This was the right outcome. Awesome, amazing, incredible 5.5-star match from Io and Rhea, and a 5.5-star finish in my opinion. But that is it. Thank you everybody so much for watching this review of WWE Evolution. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below for what you thought about it. And thank you all so goddamn much for bearing with me and watching all these videos. I had to do an hour and 15 minutes of just picks and predictions, and now I've done like 3 30-minute, 20, 30-minute, or 4 now, 20 to 30-minute reviews. So just thank you, thank you, thank you. It has been a ride and a half. I have been so busy. I still think the question can be asked if there's too much wrestling. If you want my answer, TLDR, short version, no. I can never get enough wrestling. I don't give a shit. I love it. I do hope Evolution becomes an annual thing. Do better next time. Maybe don't have so many shows smashed together. Maybe don't book it just to counteract AEW's biggest show of the year. That's just me. But this was this was a fantastic show. I will definitely be watching bits and pieces of it over and over again. That's it. Like I said, that's the final review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And until next time, this is JT Channel. I am JT, and I will see you in the next one.